That's right, baby. I'm back with another list, but it's time to get intellectual. We're talking about the top 5 documentaries that you should check out on Netflix right now. So I love all my fiction, my sci-fi, my horror, my action stuff, whatever it is, I love it. But I also like to watch documentaries and feed my mind a little bit. And as we all know, the real world can be a lot crazier than stuff that we can imagine. So with all that being said, these are the 5 documentaries that I think you should check out on Netflix right now. Number 1 is Pandemic. Pandemic is a documentary on a global scale that takes place in a bunch of different countries. It goes behind the scenes on the people who are researching ways to stop the next pandemic. Spoiler alert, they fucking failed big time, but that's besides the point. It goes into the people who are doing research on viruses. It goes into the people who are trying to work on vaccines that will work for any flu pandemic. And it goes into the idiot anti-vaxxers who literally say in this documentary while they're having one of their hippie meetings that they are smarter and know more about the field than doctors do, which is one of the reasons the pandemic is as bad as it is in America because of this type of mindset. People aren't taking it serious, but again, I digress. This is still very interesting to watch, to see the stuff they're trying to do to prevent the next coronavirus outbreak. And if they can accomplish some of the things that they're aiming for, it definitely could help. It also goes into these little small town areas and shows how they deal with things when something happens, which is something I didn't expect and is a welcome addition. Check it out now to feel one of 2 different ways, really encouraged or even more terrified than you are of dying. Number 2 is Fight World. Now, I already reviewed this show last year because I thought it was so great that it deserved its own review, but I'm definitely going to touch on this again. This is a documentary that traces this journey that Frank Grillo, the amazing actor and all-around cool guy, takes around the world, and he meets all of these different fighters in various martial arts. And it doesn't just look at the way that they fight or their combat skills or whatever, it also looks at the lives that they lead, the effect that sport has on their communities, what it does for them, whether they are impoverished or the type of leadership that they do. It also goes into expats going into other countries to learn a martial art or to compete on a national level. You find out how in some places it's just a pastime, and in others it is life or death. It's what they use to train the military to survive. It shows how people can come together no matter what background or religion that they are. It demonstrates how fighting can be cathartic and help you get through trying times or get over past traumas. Basically, it shows that combat actually can be very, very good for you, and it helps that the show has some of the best cinematography I've ever seen for a documentary, and it's hosted by one of the coolest guys in Hollywood. Number 3 is Tiger King. Tiger King. Jesus Christ, where do I start? I don't really want to get into too many details because there's so much crazy stuff that happens in this. I can't describe it. Okay, this should say everything I need to say about this show. I am from Florida. I am used to the weirdest people doing the most horrific stuff, and even this documentary shocked the hell out of me in the best and the worst ways. It just shows how people can change from one thing to another, and it goes into this deep-seated issues that they have. This was made over the course of like 5 or 6 years. The documentarian who was filming it didn't expect it to turn into what it did, which is the weirdest shit that you will ever see in your life. This is definitely one of the strangest things I've ever witnessed, and I have witnessed a lot of strange things all over the world. You're going to see a bunch of different sides to the story, but I think every single person that they cover is exploiting these wildcats for their benefit in one way or another. They might not have started out that way, but they definitely are now. You've got drug dealers and magic and amputations and gay polygamy. You've got crazy people and murder. I can't even go into everything. It's so strange and it's so damn amazing. There's a reason it's blowing up right now, and that's because this thing is so insane it's beyond imagination. Like, if you were to write this out and say that it was true, people would think you were full of crap. But when you actually see it happen on screen, man, just check it out. You'll see. Number 4 is Wormwood. Wormwood is definitely one of the strangest things on this list. Now, it's not as strange as Tiger King, but it's strange in that it mixes fictionalized dramatizations of stuff that happened or what could have happened with the actual situations and investigations. It's basically about this family who are trying to prove that the CIA murdered their father, who who was part of the MK Ultra program. If you guys don't know what MK Ultra is, that's the program that the CIA was working on to basically control the minds of soldiers and to get them to do what they wanted. Now, in some ways, they were successful, and this documentary goes into that. I don't really want to say much more than that because there's so much to this documentary. It has these amazing actors that you would not expect to be in this, and the performances are all perfection. I mean, it's super, super engrossing. There's definitely only going to be one season. It doesn't take too long to watch because it's only 6 episodes, but those 6 episodes will definitely leave you thinking about the government and whether you can trust them or not. Spoiler, you can't, and you never should have. Number 5 is Flint Town. You remember a few months ago when all we had to worry about was corrupt politicians and corporate greed, really just destroying America little by little? This documentary goes into all of that, and it's just this microcosm of the worst things that can happen to a place in America. And everybody's heard of Flint, Michigan because of the water issue that they were having. But it's not just Flint anymore. It's Michigan and Detroit in general. It goes into everything from the shortage of funds, neighborhoods being abandoned, the lack of funding for the police, the murders. I mean, there's so much crap going on in this place, and you see it all unravel right before your eyes here because they were there for quite some time. I'm really shocked that there wasn't a season 2 because there's so much stuff that they can go into and that they do go into on this show. And the fact that most everything they talk about still hasn't been fixed, and some of this stuff was filmed 4 years ago. It's really pathetic, man. I just don't understand it. I mean, I do understand it. It's just how America is these days, which is why so many people are moving overseas to do different jobs, or so many people have moved out of Michigan in general to work elsewhere. I really got to hand it to the people who stick around in Flint and Detroit and these places that are having a rough time because they're trying to save these towns. They're trying to save their state. They're trying to do the right thing. And this really goes into that. And I definitely suggest that you watch it. Out of all of the things that I've shown on this, I would definitely say this is the best genuine documentary. It's fun, it's sad, it's basically the story of America, and it will blow your mind. And of course, an honorable mention for American Factory, which I already talked about in my top 10 movies of the year list. So those are the top 5 documentaries on Netflix that you should be watching while quarantined in your house. Stay indoors, stay safe, be smart, enjoy these shows, and we'll all get out of this stuff together. That's it for this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.